Okay, Scott, it looks like we're streaming live, so I guess whenever Janine and you are ready.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley. Janine, let me know when.
You can start whenever you're ready, Scott.
Okay, great. Be there in a half hour. Okay. Okay. Everybody ready? Okay. The Cuyahoga County Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee for Wednesday, July the 15th, 2020 will be called to order. Roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Ms. Conwell,
Present.
Mr. Schrein. Mr. Schrein is absent at the moment. Ms. Baker,
Here.
there is a quorum.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment this morning for Public Works?
No, Mr. Chair, no one has submitted any public comment.
Okay, great. If I could have approval of minutes from the July 1st, 2020 meeting.
So moved, Nan Baker.
Dale.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Baker and Councilman Miller for approval of the July 1st, 2020 minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, if we could please have the first matter referred to committee.
Resolution number 2020-0140, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1500299010203 and 06 with Halley Industrial Park for lease of space located at 1890 East 40th Street, Cleveland, for the period 3/1/2015 through 5/31/2025 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,369,804.54.
Okay, and who do we have here speaking on behalf of Public Works for this? Oh. I can't hear.
I believe John Myers is going to be speaking to this item.
Okay. I'm not hearing Mr. Myers. He doesn't look like he's muted, but I just don't hear him. Does anybody else hear him?
I do not. I just texted him, so let me see if I
Okay.
can track him down.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
John, you might have to connect via phone if we can't hear you over the computer.
I'll go try to find him. He's next to me.
He can also come up to the 8th floor.
We could do that.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's modern technology for you.
There he is.
We got him?
Looks like he's trying.
Okay. It's a nice view of the building.
Okay, John will be joining us right here.
Is
Okay,
he up there with you, Nicole?
looks that way.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me
That's
now?
okay. Yes.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, great. Sorry. This is a tech, for lack of a better word, technical fiscal amendment. Historically, we didn't always include additional costs, operating costs, utilities, et cetera, things like that, as far as encumbered. They are part of the contract when this was approved in 2015. OBM's preference now is that these all be pre-encumbered. And so we are going back in time to pre-encumber anticipated operating costs for the remainder of this initial 10-year term of the lease at the Halley building that incorporates both the county archives, the Board of Elections operations, Children and Family Services storage, Public Works, and some additional agencies soon to be added. So this is the anticipated cost. Essentially, the lease is a triple net lease, which puts pretty much all operating costs back on the county. And so this is the anticipated amount. And so we're asking for the approval of this technical amendment so we can meet those guidelines.
Okay,
These are-
appreciate. Okay,
Not new monies. These are monies we're already legally obligated to pay. This is just identifying them for our fiscal purposes.
Mr. Myers, if I could, the supporting documents indicate a lease period ending of November 30th, 2025, and the contract, the resolution language indicates May 31st, 25. Could you clarify which is which?
I believe it, the first date you mentioned is the actual end date of the initial term. We have 2 more 5-year options after that, but the date we just picked was essentially just to pick a date relevant to start the clock ticking for these costs.
Okay. In addition, what's the condition of the building? I understand there's some potential roof issues.
The building's in good shape. We have invested in the building in recent years, and the landlord is responsible for the roof. They've invested in money in it. I don't have a recent roof report study, but I'm not aware of any leakage or any significant issues related to our use of the building.
Okay, how is it as far as spacing goes? There's a lot of different things in there with the archives and Board of Elections.
So I can, the stacking plan is essentially the basement level is a underground parking garage and building mechanics. The first floor, half is the loading docks and BOE. BOE is on half of 1, on 2, and we'll be adding on half of 5. The archives is on all of 3 and half of 5. And Children and Family Services record storage has the entire 4th floor.
Okay, and would you say we need more space, or are we good with that?
I think we're good right now. In fact, we're looking at that may be coming to you for approval. The prosecutor's office is wanting to take some space for some of its operations that we currently lease space for. So they may be moving into a portion of the building as well.
Okay, so just a quick question to you, and I don't want to get too far off track from this legislation, but we recently in Public Works, with the COVID monies, the CARES Act monies, we're looking into doing a storage facility for PPE products and such. Is there anything in the pipeline for looking at potentially creating a facility or a storage facility for the county's own archives and such, so we're not renting, leasing stuff, being more cost effective in the long run? I'm just asking. I'm not,
Yes, I believe that we're looking at doing adding additional storage capacity at the Harvard facility to be able to handle these type of items that come that to give us some flex space. But we're with current thoughts and plans at the archives building, we're pretty much we'll be pretty full.
Okay, I'll turn it over to my colleagues if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
My question is whether whether any changes in the costs that we're going to incur have been identified, or have the costs remained as expected, and this legislation is simply to plan for their being encumbered.
Mr. Meyer.
Yes, to the chair, to Councilman Miller. Largely, the overwhelming number is just to anticipate it and to plan and to document those costs. We did add a carve out to provide some COVID cleaning. Currently, right now, the cleaning that only took place was there in the evening. But with increasing ramp up usage by BOE, and the archives has people there during the day, public, I should say, that we have tried to identify some of those costs, carve out those costs as related to COVID required cleaning, with some hope of being able to recover a small portion of these overall costs.
And Mr. Chairman, one more question. Does our agreement involve us eventually owning this building, or is that not a feature of this particular lease agreement?
Myers?
Chairman, to Ms. Councilman Miller, it is a feature that after this initial 10-year term, which ends in 25, we have two 5-year options. And at the end of those two 5-year options, the county can purchase the building for $1. So we likely will be coming back to the council for renewals at those times because to maximize our investment in the building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other questions?
Press
Okay.
Chairman,
Okay, Ms. Conwell?
sorry, trying to
Okay.
work this machine. Through the chairman to John, the lease agreement, it doesn't cover any costs currently in regards to the BOE, does it?
Mr. Myers?
Yes, because these charges are related to the everyday operations of the building on an annualized basis. So the BOE does obviously benefit from the heating and cooling and the cleaning and the maintenance and repairs and all those issues that are covered in the operating costs. We charge them back, however, Councilman.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes, so it's not a freebie. The Department of Public Works uses a formula to determine costs to charge back to each agency for their occupancy of the building.
And they pay on a monthly basis?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, no
Chair.
problem. Any additional questions? Okay, and then Mr. Myers, I'm going to ask you about the timing element on this. I see your request is under second or under suspension.
I would prefer it if you could, just to keep it moving. And one of the reasons that date, as I said, I'm trying to maximize our ability to seek some CARES Act dollars in this. So in one hand, the date is not meaningful, but the more I have to argue, the better.
Okay. With that, if no one objects, I'll make a motion to move R 2020-0140 along on second reading suspension. If I could have a second.
Second, Conwell.
I have a second from Councilwoman Conwell. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Myers. Madam Clerk, if you could, Madam Clerk, I was just asked to speak quietly from upstairs. Madam Clerk, if you could read the next resolution, please.
Resolution number 2020-0141, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1000867 with Near West Side Multi-Service Corporation doing business as May Dugan Center for lease of space located at 4115 Bridge Avenue, Cleveland, for use by Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Adult Probation Department for the period 8/1/2010 through 7/31/2020, to extend the time period to 7/31/2025, to change the terms effective 8/1/2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $182,881.
Okay, and who's going to be speaking on this particular legislation?
Sarah, this is John Myers again, who'll be speaking on behalf of the Department of Public Works on this lease amendment. We're here today before you to seek your approval for a lease amendment with the May Dugan Center, which is located in Ohio City, in the amount of $182,881. We've had a long-standing relationship with May Dugan, which is a nonprofit multi-service center in the Ohio City community. This is on behalf of the Court of Common Pleas, which has their one and only satellite probation office. They consider this important to their work as far as keeping people compliant with their probation and meeting with their probation officers.
Okay, and Mr. Myers, as far as the funding goes, I see 4% is CARES Act money.
Yes.
What amount?
We increased increased slightly. There was no increase in the base rent, just a small increase related to asking them to do some enhanced COVID cleaning, frequent high contact surfaces, et cetera. To be responsive to the current pandemic needs. So it's a very modest portion of this, and to provide for the safety and comfort of our employees. and
Okay.
use of the public.
And then who owns the actual property? Is it the city of Cleveland?
Yes, it is. They have the city of Cleveland owns and built it. It's on a long-term lease to the Near West Side Multi-Service Corporation, which is commonly known as May Dugan Center.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from my colleagues?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Conwell.
Through the chair to John, in light of COVID-19, has the probation, and I know the courts had just reopened and things of that nature, was the actual space being utilized during the lockdown, so to speak, with COVID-19?
I can't speak with full knowledge of their operations in that sense, Councilwoman, but I believe it has continued to be used, not in the full way that it was. Not as many people were reporting, but they are back ramping up as we speak, I believe.
Okay.
These are, so it has certainly been less use, but still continued use, and those probation officers continue to work at their desk there as well.
Mr. Boyle, can we find out what the probation department was doing during the time of everybody being home?
Absolutely. I will look into it. I'll get you an answer before this comes back on the agenda for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
And to Mr. Myers, my question is whether we lease directly from the city of Cleveland, or does May Dugan sublease it to us?
Question.
Mr. Chair, to the Councilman Miller, we sublease from May Dugan directly. We don't, the city acknowledges our lease, but our contractual relationship is with May Dugan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I see this, there's also timing elements with this. I'm assuming if there's CARES Act money involved.
Yes, I would ask for your consideration.
Okay, so I will make that motion for moving our 2020-0141 along on second reading suspension. If I could have a second.
Second, Conwell.
I have a second from Councilwoman Conwell on this. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I think we have ayes. Okay. Opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the next resolution.
Resolution number 2020-0142, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires emergency repair of South Woodland Culvert number 3 in the city of Shaker Heights. Total estimated project cost $200,000.
Okay. And it looks like we have Miss English here to discuss this.
Yep, Nicole English from Public Works. So this came to us from the city of Shaker Heights, and they made a request because this culvert had fallen in. And I hope as part of your packet, you have the fact sheet that has a picture that is clear and shows that the road is sort of falling in this culvert at this time. So they made a request through our emergency capital money. We have, set aside $1 million a year that is for emergencies on our end, the county, if we identify bridges through our bridge inspection, or for cities to apply if they have an emergency that is unexpected and has some cost. So the total cost on this to fix is around $200,000. So we've offered to split it with them, 50% up to $100,000. So they will design it. The city will do the construction, and then afterwards they will bill us for 50% up to the $100,000. So we're maxed out at $100,000.
Okay. Miss English, is there a time frame within which this project will be completed? Is there an end date or an estimated start date?
So when they first sent me the request, they already had a set of 60% plans. So I think they are getting ready to bid soon. And it should be a pretty quick repair. So I would guess, by the end of fall, this should be done. And then that's when they would invoice us.
Okay. And was this rated by NOACA? Is that?
No, it's rated through their inspection, but since it's fallen in, it's failed. So it does not have a rating per se until we fix it up, and then it'll get load rated. So they, this is a city maintained culvert, so it's not something that we, hadn't maintained. It is a city maintained, but we have this program that we do give out money for even city maintained structures.
Okay. What district is this in? Is Shaker Heights, is it?
Yes, 9. Exactly.
9. Okay. Any questions from my colleagues? Seems pretty cut and dry. With that, and it being a situation where we want to get moving on this with a sunken in culvert, I'm assuming you're looking for moving this along.
Yes,
quickly.
it would just give the city some, comfort that we are
Right,
participating.
and then move forward with this. Okay. With that, I'll make a motion for second reading suspension of R 2020-0142. If I could have a second.
Second.
I have a second from Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, is there anything else before committee?
If I may ask a question under miscellaneous.
Yes.
Nicole, any update on issue 1 on the funding that's released by the state? Now we have the ability to move ahead on the handful of projects that we were putting on hold. Any update on these projects?
Good question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your timing is always perfect. So we just got an email this morning,
Good.
and we had gotten our agreements for the 2 projects that were funded and continued to be funded earlier this week. The email today said that the governor did sign the bill, and so that we should be seeing by the end of the week the agreements on the projects that were on hold or weren't funded because of the budget shortfall. So as soon as we have those agreements in hand and we see those amounts, we're ready to start pushing through the operations projects. And then you'll also hopefully see within the next month or so, depending on when the council meeting falls, award of some 50-50 projects. So I would say possibly the next council meeting, but I'm not sure if we're going to make it in time just because of the deadlines to hit the agenda. But then the following one, you will see some new projects. And I know specifically, the one that you're looking for.
Right, the one in Bay Village, Wolf Road. Any chance that administration may hold thing? Or does this look like these projects have green light because of the issue 1 or matching?
We're hopeful that we can, we're going to present them, to the county executive. So we're hopeful that we can get moving. That's why I don't have a full list, because we have to look at how much, we want to put into those programs for the next year. In 2 years, actually, we're looking to start. But, we know that we need to do some projects in order to, keep our engineers busy, and then also construction over the next couple of years. So we're hopeful that we can get those through.
Okay. Under miscellaneous, I'm going to add something to Ms. English. I know Mr. Miller, and as a part of the legislation we put forth on some of the PPE stuff, do we have any updates on any of that stuff with respect to the CARES Act? I don't see Mr. Dever here today. That's why I'm asking.
We have the, just in general, the CARES Act work, or the PPE storage building?
Well, based on the understanding we had in the legislation that we'd be updated weekly on the CARES Act work that was being performed and reconstruction and such.
So I believe we've been forwarding a weekly email.
Okay.
Matt Reimer sends it out. I'll double check who's the.
I did get something. I did get that. I just didn't know if there was
Okay.
anything that you needed to add or anything since that email. That's all.
So the other
We did
update
get
would
that.
be that we are working, and we have sent Jean all the information for the phase 2 of the COVID building improvement contract. So that will be appearing on the next council meeting, the award of the next 8 contractors. So I would say that's the big update. And then we're starting to send out projects to the phase 1 contractors. So we would hope that we, probably could start seeing construction within a week or 2 with some of the phase 1 contractors. So we've
Okay.
identified through our architects, gosh, I want to say we have a list of, 20 some projects right now that are on our list that we're working on. And then we'll start picking those off for the contractors starting this week.
Is there any way we can, if we haven't, is there any way we can get a list of the projects?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that'd be great if the committee could get that. Mr. Miller, I see you have a question.
Yes, follow up, I was gonna ask about the same thing. Could you send us a list of the 8 contractors that have been chosen for phase 2?
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
And also, can you tell us, of those 8, how many were also contractors in phase 1, or are they all new?
All new. None of them are also in phase 1, and there's 8. So I'll get you the list of, I can get you the scoring sheets. You could see everybody who submitted and the 8 selected.
Okay, and one final question of the 8 selected for phase 2, how many do we have for MBE? How many do we have for FBE?
I don't know the distinction between SBE, MBE, and WBE, but I believe 5 of the 8 meet one of those criteria. So I can look that up, and that is included in the scoring. So you'll be able to see on the sheet.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. One last miscellaneous item, Miss English. A couple weeks back, I had written a letter to the county executive and covered Mr. Dever with respect to the reserve fund and what those were for public works and the projects and such. And I was told I was going to get a reply a couple weeks ago, and I just haven't heard anything. So I just would like to follow up on that when you get an opportunity, if you could check with your colleagues on that and see where maybe we're at with that.
Yes,
Okay.
I did inquire with Mike yesterday. I think they were this morning about it. So we did meet with Jim Boyle on your side, just to let you know, I think a week or so ago. And we were just trying to finalize, since the letter went to Armin, to be sure that he was aware, but we're ready to respond. So you should see something in the next day or 2.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, with that, is there any other miscellaneous? I see Ms. Conwell. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, to Nicole, is there any updates in the on the child care room? Is that in the second phase projects?
That they are having, I believe, a meeting this afternoon to talk about that.
Okay, has Levine Ross been included with that? Does she have that information at what meeting?
I'm unsure, but I'll circle back with Mike Dever about that and let him know.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, anything further? And okay, with that.
Mr. Chair, right at this second, I've pulled all the information that we have for the phase 2, so Nicole doesn't need to do it. I'll just send it right.
Okay, great. Appreciate that, Jeannie. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. If I could have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Miller. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Public Works shall adjourn at 10:28 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Good day.
Thank you, everyone.